You know what I notice about like the immigrant people that like talk about Americans and like, you guys Americans are so lazy. You notice the ones that have some type of perceived success, because this is the young lady that's, I think she drives around in a pink Lamborghini Urus or something like that. I went to her page and then I blocked her. But I noticed that they always tend to talk about the group of Americans, of black Americans that are not in the same class as them, to make themselves feel better for coming over here and achieving whatever dream they have achieved. Why do I say that? I say that because if you are a successful business owner, like you are, and you've done everything right, why is your main focus on the group, small group of black Americans that haven't achieved that success yet, or is not doing what it is to achieve that success, or is delaying what they have to do to achieve that success, as opposed to your focus being on people that are in your same class, whether that's income, education, etc., or thought process, right? And I noticed, and I'm going to get to the solution in a second. No, the thing they do that because without having someone to shit on as an immigrant, this is only some of them, not all of them. Without having someone to shit on as an immigrant, what are they? What do they have to talk about, right? Because if they talk about if they talk about the black Americans that have the exact same thing that they have, they would feel less than, because the black Americans that have the exact same thing that they have wouldn't give them any type of day. You notice that? Like, if you talk about something that somebody else has just like you wouldn't have nothing to talk about. And if you have to constantly have these conversations of Americans don't do enough, Americans are always poor, black Americans, da, 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 and that group of black Americans are lower than you, then you're not really going to have anything to talk about. And that is a personal problem as an immigrant. And it shows me and it gets me thinking, like, so if you're like this here, right, then in your own country where you were dirt poor, or you do have those conditions, if you would have got up in status in your own country, you would talk about them the same way that you talk about black Americans that are doing less than you. That's my uncompleted thought so far. I have to think more about this process, but that's my uncompleted thought so far. All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Like for Africans to come here, you're privileged. Like for us, like we're from Sierra Leone. My parents, my mom moved here in the 80s. And like, a lot of the Sierra Leoneans that grew up here. And that happens for like other African cultures. Like, the Africans here, you're doing well. The Nigerians are doing well. The Liberians, like a lot of people are doing well. But it's really, you're the essentially the cream of the crop. You were like the top of the top. You were the elites in your country, and you're coming here and you're saying like, "Oh, look at us. We're all doing well." And you're essentially comparing the top 10, 20, 30% of the people from your nation with everybody that's
Yeah,
Black American,
facts.
whether they're elite, like, so it's like it's not a fair comparison at all, because we're comparing the cream of the crop. Like, we're predisposed to being more successful as Africans in America, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't have privilege.
Exactly.
And then you're taking that and comparing it to all Black Americans, and it's not a fair comparison. And we got to be real as Africans and make sure that we call that out.
Yeah.
You got to call it out. So you can't just sit here and talk down on Black Americans, saying, "Oh," because there's a lot of Black Americans that are doing very well. So if you compare their top 10% or 20% to the Africans, like, they're probably doing better. So it's
Yep.
like you can't even. But we don't. You don't want to have that conversation. So we got to be very real
Yep.
and make sure it's apples to apples.
Why can't I get off of my lazy behind and get some of these things?
Colored kids have no image. Our images are white. There's no ambition. Who can we say that was great?
There's a lot of the Negroes complain about we never had. I grant you, the Negro has been discriminated against 100%. Yes, I grant you that. But not only the Negro, but look how many Jews. Look how many Jew people were burned in thousands. But yet these people didn't let it stop them. They wanted something. They wanted. That's right. So why can't the Negro do this? Stop being lazy. Stop waiting for someone to hand something out to you.
That's right.
These men aren't lazy.
They were just beaten down so that they didn't believe they could get up. A man has to believe he comes from something, that he comes out of something, that he's somebody. Therefore, he has to be traced back to where he began, so they can have a sense of pride for being what he is. Once a man has respect for what he is, he doesn't have to hate anymore.
We do not have to be better than other men, and we are not. In fact, we are a group of men. We have a genius here and there, a fool now and then, and most people are just average. Now, we will have to be viewed as such. And it has to be, the nation must face the fact that black Americans received a hell of a lot of help getting in the predicament we're in. We're going to need just as much help getting out of it.
Black Americans are lazy, and you have not built your country. Yes. Black Americans are lazy. Black Americans are lazy. They don't want to do anything. That is why we are helping them as immigrants. But you have not built your country. You've not kept anything reputable in your country for yourself, in your name. You know, one thing with immigrants is, the moment they get into another country, they make it look as if they are more hardworking. While in real sense, in their own country, I can tell you for a fact, they are not doing anything. But because they're in another man's country and they know that they have to meet up with their games, they now have to start doubling their hustle. And in doing that, they now expect people of the country, they now expect Black Americans as well. Or they expect people that built America to also start hustling and start going about the way they are doing it. See, be it you're African, you're Jamaican, you're whatever, I'm not going to support batting. Even if you like become my family member, I'm not going to support batting. You see, for those of you that love to tag Black Americans as lazy, they don't work, they don't do this, come and watch this video. Anyways, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And credits belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I just want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. Guys, with that being said, let's go watch. I'll be back with commentaries.
Hey family, so I was watching something on social media where there were a bunch of African gentlemen having a discussion about Black Americans. And they said that they were taught never to marry a Black American because we are lazy. And I found that so problematic, especially since the very United States that they were sitting in having this discussion was built on African Americans, enslaved Africans who were brought here and worked the land for the white man. So let me ask you this. The definition of lazy, right, is the ability to do something but choosing not to, right? So let's think about it. Who are the original lazy ass people? Yes, white folk. Because they didn't have enough what? Energy? Ingenuity to work their own fields? So they had to go and snatch people from a whole nother continent to work their land? But yet Black Americans are lazy? I'm getting sick and tired of those lies that you people from Africa, the Caribbean, come here thinking. How dare you? If it wasn't for the blood, sweat, and tears that African Americans, our ancestors, laid down and died for, your behind wouldn't even have the right to be here. You think white America don't want us here? They for damn sure don't want you all here. If you think what white people say about Black Americans are terrible, y'all must not know what they say about y'all. So what I advise you all to do, my African brothers and sisters, my Caribbean brothers and sisters, you better recognize that if it wasn't for Black Americans who are far from lazy, you, my friend, wouldn't have the rights and privileges that you have here in this here America. Lazy. Miss me with that bullshit.
I started all over when I came here in America 12 years ago, or almost 13 years now. Everything that I have now, I built it from scratch. I can say that I came into this country with a couple of $100 in my pocket. And I started from nothing and built my way up to making six figures. Did that happen in a day? No. I had to create opportunities for myself, like most of the people said in the comments. The reason why I am where I am today is because I built it myself with the skills that I have. But yes, I don't think all Americans are lazy, but I'm just saying if I had the opportunities, I would have done the most. Because most of the issues that I have here is not actually me being able to exercise my potentials, but actually me being restricted as an immigrant. That's just my opinion. But however, I've met very hardworking people in this country, but I've also met people that actually didn't do nothing with their lives, just like any other country. It has nothing to do with you know being born here or not. We even have the same thing in Africa, like people just don't want to do things, like make nothing out of their lives. So that's just my 2 cents. If I had the opportunities that Americans have, if I was born here like my son, if I had the American passport, I would say that I would have moved mountains.
I wanted to make this video of kind of a quick rant on some things that I found while doing research for my other immigrant video. Now, we know the Democrat Party has been trying forever to replace Black Americans with immigrants, but they were doing it all the way back before the Civil Rights Movement, but they expanded it during the Civil Rights Movement. I know we are very critical on Hispanic and Latino immigrants, but one group we do not touch is the Africans. All right? When our people or Black Americans were fighting in them streets during the Civil Rights Movement for rights, for economic resources, when our HBCUs were fighting for scraps, our U.S. government, led by Lyndon B. Johnson, was sending hundreds of millions of dollars to Africa to bring them here. In 1962, there were still African nations coming into the United States on a ship. Not with chains. They were looking like this. Let's bring up the photo. I want you guys to really look at this picture, because I know many of you have heard that, typically probably from the older Africans, that they came here with nothing, right? They came here with scraps and just whatever they had in their pocket. Well, look at this. This is a ship coming from Africa to New York in 1962. Yes. And I really want you to look at this. Does this look like poor people? They have suits, ties, jackets, briefcases, nice glasses. And for the most part, they're standing right next to white people. Though in the United States, Black Americans were not standing this close to white people because of segregation. Okay? Let's go to this next photo. Look at this. Look how poor they were, y'all. They call this poor right here. They call this scraps. Nice clothes, right? Briefcase. Look like they have some maps or something like that. Jackets. Don't look nothing like Black Americans, but here they are. Next. Look at that. Next. Oh, wow. Inside of a home with white people, drinking tea, having a good time during segregated America, when our people were out there fighting for their rights. Lyndon B. Johnson and the Democrat Party was under a lot of pressure by Black Americans. Black Americans started to really despise the Democrat Party. And when Martin Luther King was assassinated, things really turned up in this country. And Lyndon B. Johnson and the Democrat Party had a decision to make, and that decision was we now going to help Black America economically from their demands that they have about slavery and Jim Crow? And instead of them pumping that money into Black America, they pumped it into Africa. They said that Black Americans had become ungovernable. They have become too radical. So they wanted to go get a new, safe black person who was manageable and docile. I want to bring up a few of these companies before I close out, y'all. Well, institutions, I'm sorry. And Africans, I need y'all to understand, this is not no hate to y'all, bro. Y'all be quick to say people hating. This is not hate. This is a part of history, and this is a big reason as to why y'all are here. One of these institutions was called the African American Institute, and they actually changed their name back to the Africa American Institute. And the thing about this, y'all, this thing was founded way before they reclassified the American Negro to African American, meaning they already had a distinction between us and them. During a 25-year period, the African American Institute, or the AAI, received over $135 million, which is more than $1 billion of American taxpayers' dollars. Okay? This money was specifically designated for scholarships, visitor programs, and educational infrastructure for Africans, not Black Americans. Another one we have here was called the ASPAU, or the African Scholarship Program of American Universities. This was launched in 1961, y'all. And like I told you, HBCUs were struggling and fighting to get government funding. USAID pumped millions of dollars to bring Africans into this country, into United States universities. Our Democrat government, they paid for these people's living expenses. They gave them monthly stipends, purchased cars. And not only did they put them in regular universities, they put them inside of Ivy League schools such as Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and gave them full tuition paid for. Last one I have here. They actually had a Cold War budget. It was being operated by President Kennedy as well as LBJ, but LBJ ramped this thing all the way up once Kennedy was gone. They say it was so-called to fight against communism, y'all. This is what they said. They wanted to fight against the Soviets. They were spending $20 to $30 million a year, which is more than $200 million a year now, specifically for African educational aid and exchange programs. So while the Democrat Party told you they did not have money for what we would say now is reparations, they were giving it to Africa. And when these, and not all Africans, all right, when some of these Africans are saying that they are the most educated, they are the doctors, lawyers, engineers, y'all, this was done by design. Oh, man. But we have a real deep video coming in on this, y'all. I just wanted to stop in here and give this one. Let me know if y'all knew about these different funds that was going on. Let me know if you knew that these people were still coming here on ships in 1962. I'll see you guys on the next one.
People who still got beef with Black Americans and who keep coming on here saying put everything to the side, no. Let's focus on working together, no. We did that for 500 plus years. Y'all kept saying we were lazy. We want to see if we're so lazy, you don't need us anymore. So y'all get to doing it. Do it yourselves. If we aren't innovative and have no culture, y'all get to doing it. Y'all get to doing it. No. This is the one time we get to focus on us. And once again, y'all are trying to make it about you. Now, I really don't feel bad, but I kind of feel bad for the people that already know what's up. And y'all are trying to apologize and trying to make amends. But no, y'all helped let this go on for so long too. Y'all believe everything that they said about us and digested it. And now that we backing away and y'all finally finna feel that fire, it's time for y'all to burn. It's not no beef. It's peace on our end. We just rested. So we want y'all to take the reins and y'all accomplish what we accomplished for 500 plus years since we was lazy and we didn't do nothing.
It is different when you get to the States. And when you get to the States, there is a Black immigrant dream that if you could get to the States, you could make it. because there's this idea that the American dream is there. We haven't gotten the updates yet. The Black Americans on the ground probably have. They know as much that, oh no, that dream that you're talking about, that's literally a figment. But the Black Caribbean person or the Black African will come into that space and be around Black Americans, and they will look at them as though, why haven't you taken advantage of this? And I noticed very early on, especially after Trump took office, is that there's a dread, an existential dread that just creeps after a long time being in that space. And what ends up happening is you get so defeated and you feel so futile in your efforts to do what the Black immigrant might very well think you can do. Mm-hmm. And until I got to like that, I want to say 8-year mark when I was in the States, and a wave of depression washed over me. I think it was a little bit into the Trump presidency, where I just needed to resign from white people in mass. Like I felt a craving, and that's why honestly I came back home. I could not look at white people after Trump, especially in Iowa, after Trump was in office for a little bit, because there was a level of arrogance and a deservedness and an entitlement that I don't know if I could have dealt with for far too long. So I had to get out of there. And then I thought to myself, I said, damn, I got that after 8 years. These niggas been here since they was born. They've been dealing with that shit since they was born. If I could feel that defeated after 8 years of this shit, I can only imagine what my friend from Chicago was feeling, what my friend from Atlanta was feeling. I could only imagine after at a particular point being looked at every time when I walk into a grocery store, you got a white old lady looking at you like you's a damn monster. Like and even if they look at you fondly, you still being fetishized. Even if they look at you like they think that they doing you a
I got friends who couldn't afford tissue growing up, so they used to go in the bush and use a leaf.
Wow. I really wish I could disagree with a lot of things in this video, but I really cannot. But let me just make some corrections. First things first, please note that this female that is speaking is not a true representation of Jamaica's culture. She's a true representation of clout seeking, clout chasing. She's a professional clout chaser. And these people do not care how much they assassinate the character, how much they kill the character and the culture of our country. They will stop at nothing to get attention, clout, and money in their pocket. Let me just say that promiscuity is not a part of our culture. Just as everywhere in the world, it has its fair share of promiscuity, but it is not our culture. Begging is not our culture. We're a culture of kind people who you can go over to your neighbor and say, can I have some salt? Can I have some sugar? That has always been our culture. We are kind. We are not beggars. But now the begging culture that we have adopted from TikTok to politicians is catching up with us, and the world is seeing. Skin out my pum pum is not our culture. Our musical hemisphere from reggae to dancehall was once a safe gathering where even your children could stand in a dancehall. No, it is not so. And that's because our culture has been hijacked by a bunch of people who are now adopting other people's culture. More specifically, America's culture. And it is shown in our dressing, the way we speak. Does that female sound like a Jamaican to you? You rightfully said, Nicki Minaj wanna be. Because we're now adopting the America's culture and culture of everywhere else in the world. Our culture is being dislimbed more and more every single day. Now, as a true patriot, I cannot speak for anyone else, but I can definitely speak for myself. And let me just say that I am personally disgruntled at the fact that every time Jamaica gets some form of highlight, most cases it is something negative if it's not sports. If it's not track and field we're highlighted by, it's something negative. It's something derogative. It's always something that's in the negative light. We are not highlighted for our high IQ, for our inventions. We are not highlighted for our good governance. We are not highlighted for a wonderful economy. We're not highlighted for anything like that because we have no wonderful economy. We're always highlighted for something that's negative. The faces that you're seeing that is representing Jamaica are a bunch of faces that are sellouts. They have sold out our culture and they have adopted other culture, which are very immoral. Jamaica is a country of moral inclined people. We're a country of godly people. We're a country of nice and decent people who have adopted a nasty and dirty culture from. We have replaced correction with envy. Your character man, your bad mind. We have become a culture that awards slutty behavior with accolades instead of shame. We have become a culture of people who sees nothing wrong with nothing. And the world is watching and the world is seeing. But let me just say this to everyone overseas who have never been to Jamaica before or who have never truly experienced Jamaica's culture. Staying in a hotel in Jamaica, you're not in Jamaica. It's like you're in Spain or you're in America because you will not experience the true culture of Jamaica by staying in a hotel for the entire stay. For a Jew that you just bring it to Bob Marley Museum or places like those, that's not Jamaica's culture. You're not experiencing the culture. You have to really and truly go in the communities, mix with the people, mingle with the people, and get to find out our culture for yourself. And as a matter of fact, you're in for a treat because May 16, 2026, I will be having an event called Seeds of Unity. And it will be packed with a lot of cultural events. So if you happen to be in Jamaica around that time, May 16th in St. Anne, you can swing by. Tickets will be online for sale soon, by the end of this month. But please note that these people are not a true representation of Jamaica. These people are a true representation of clout seeking. Our culture runs way deeper than what you are seeing on your phone screen. But you are not privy to the true culture of Jamaica because the people that you're seeing on your phone screen are no longer embracing our culture. Our dressing, Americanized. Our music, Americanized. Everything that we once had for ourselves, our identity, we have neglected and turned our backs and all of that. And we are now running with the culture of other nations. Our culture has been hijacked by immorality. And that's what's happening. And people like myself is still fighting so that we can have some level of morality still being embedded in our culture. Homosexuality is not our culture. Homosexuality is the culture of other places, surely not ours. We despise that act so much, it's still illegal in our country. But over a period of time, whatever they shove down our throats, we just take it and we just accept it and we just run with it. Well, let me just say that these things that you're speaking of is not, absolutely not our culture. When she's speaking about banana leaf and all of that and whatever, yes, Jamaica's faces fair share of poverty and hard times. Still is to an extent. But these things are not culture. These things happen in other places in the world. I'm sure Jamaica is not the only place where man have to use banana trash to wipe their ass. It happens in other places in the world. So that's not culture. Where did that come from? Come and learn the culture for yourself. Learn about the food. Learn about our history. Learn about Miss Lou. Learn about the true culture of Jamaica. And don't watch what you see a lot of these so-called celebrities on screen telling people. Skinning out pum pum into our culture. Promiscuity and prostitution is not our culture. Every country has prostitution and promiscuity. And yes, I must say that a lot of times people run away for a better life. But now Donald Trump is saying visa has been suspended. What are we going to do now? You see, this is what happens when you run from a problem. We have sat for decades and we have watched these leaders being irresponsible, taking people for idiot for all these times. And the people of Jamaica sat and said nothing about it. And this is what it has metamorphosized into. Why didn't we stay in Jamaica and hold our leaders accountable so that they can do a proper job at managing our country and doing the right thing that they were supposed to do? We sat and we watched these people raise their pay while police officers, teachers, nurses, and even doctors are crying on a daily basis. We sat and we watched these people allow immorality to reach its all-time high and guise it under the disguise of freedom of speech and expression. We have commercialized murder. Yes, we have, because I can sing the biggest hit song about murder tomorrow morning and make a lot of money off of it. When did murder become entertaining? That is not our culture. These things hijacked our culture, and they're continuing to hijack our culture. They are not our culture. If you want to know the true culture of Jamaica, please do your own research and your own time. because I can guarantee you the faces that you're seeing and these celebrities that you're seeing are in most cases cloud chasers. They are not a true representation of what our culture is. They're a bunch of sellouts for money, and they will say and they will do anything for attention, clout, and money. And I mean anything at all. And she's right. We have a bunch of young females now coming out talking about how much they are selling kitty. Selling kitty is not a part of our culture. Our culture has been hijacked. And you hear how this female talk, like and Nicki Minaj, as I say? Yeah, that's not how Jamaican talk. Jamaican talk like how me talk right now. Real raw and patois. We don't even want to chat patois again. Everyone want to sound like an American now. Oh, I'm finna do this. I'm finna no word is named finna. There's absolutely no word named finna. But these are the type of things that we're running with. And while we're running with other people's culture, our culture is being dislimed. I wish I could disagree with most of what you said, but I really and truly can't. We're selling out our culture and we need to get it back. And people like myself will always continue to fight for my culture. Join me May 16, 2026, Sentan, Seeds of Unity. Tickets will be on sale soon, online. See? Stay tuned. Blessed love.
Anyways, welcome back, guys, and thank you so much for watching this particular videos, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So let's break it down. Black Americans are not in competition with anybody. I think the earlier immigrants learn that, or the earlier they understand that, the better. Black Americans are not competing with you. They are not competing hard work with you. They are not competing if you are working so well or you're not working so well. They are not. Because they are not there to look for greener pasture. You are in another man's country because you needed the resources. From the moment you packed your bags and baggages, and you decided that I am moving to another country, from that same moment, you have automatically planned your life, dedicate your life, that you are going to stand with that country to suffer, to work, so that you can come back to your own country successful. So the idea where you see a lot of immigrants, you see the Caribbeans, you see Jamaicans, you see Africans coming out with their full chest doing videos. I don't know where that ghost is coming from. Look at the one that this particular lady said here, where she literally made it clear that she made everything from scratch.
I started all over when I came here in America 12 years ago, or almost 13 years now. Everything that I have now, I built it from scratch. I can say that I came into this country with a couple of $100 in my pocket. And
so if you are in another man's country, you are supposed to build from scratch. And honestly, I don't see point of people saying Black Americans are lazy. Because at the end of the day, if I don't have a Black American mom and dad, that is where I will have issues. So if I have a Black American mom and dad that I've seen their hard work, I've seen what they've been able to do, all in the name of they want to make us as children proud. You can't say they are lazy except you don't know them. So as an immigrant, I think the best thing we should have been doing is mind our business, look for our money, and go our way. But the problem why they will literally never mind their business is because most of these immigrants idolize white folks so much. They worship white folks so much. They can't do without white people. They cannot. So because of that idolization, they will prefer to please a white person. They will prefer to glorify a white person. They will prefer to make it look like as if a white person is more worth it than a Black American person. And that is why when you ask them, the first thing they tell you is, oh, Black Americans are lazy. They always depend on food stamp. They always depend on EBT. They always depend on government funding or that. But if you check in real sense, right from the history day one, Black Americans are the ones that have never enjoyed this. They have never. And you know the funniest part about these immigrants? They still want, right? They still want Black Americans to come through for them when they have issues. They want Black Americans to fight for them when they have issues. They want Black Americans to solicit for them when they have issues. When they have issues, they don't go ahead to go call the white folks that they idolize so much, worship so much, and the rest of that. They want Black Americans to do that for them. So it's crazy, honestly. It's really, really crazy. But anyways, let me know what you think about all of these, and credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section. And yes guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Do not forget to come back for more, and I love you guys from the depth of my heart. Bye bye.